Deep within the granite core of the Great Pyramid of Giza, in a dark, suffocating compartment where no human eye was ever intended to look, sits a single painted name. The monument itself, a 6-million-ton masterpiece of ancient structural engineering comprising over 2 million individual stone blocks, aligned to true north within 3/60ths of a degree, contains no monumental wall carvings, no gilded pharaonic reliefs, and no grand mortuary inscriptions. Unlike virtually every other royal tomb and temple spanning the Nile Valley, the interior of the Great Pyramid is entirely silent. The single physical piece of evidence directly linking this colossal structure to Pharaoh Khufu, and pinning its construction date to approximately 2600 BC, consists of a few faint strokes of red ochre paint, dabbing the ceiling of a hidden vault high above the king's chamber. This remote compartment, known to civil engineers as Campbell's Chamber, sits at the top of a stack of 5 low granite spaces called the relieving chambers. These engineered voids were designed to absorb the crushing weight of millions of tons of limestone above and redirect those vectors away from the central burial room. The red-painted marks were not carved into the stone by royal scribes. They were dousings of quarry ink dabs left behind by the manual work gangs who quarried and hoisted the granite blocks into place. Read literally, these signs do not proclaim a divine burial dedication. They translate to crew identifiers, specifically the followers or the gang of Khufu. For nearly 2 centuries, mainstream Egyptology treated this single line of painted text as an open and shut case establishing the identity of the pyramid's builder. However, the discovery of these painted signs was fraught with controversy from the moment they were uncovered. In 1837, a British Army officer named Colonel Richard William Howard Vyse was conducting excavations at Giza under immense financial pressure and intense public scrutiny. Frustrated by months of fruitless exploration, Vyse resorted to using gunpowder charges to blast a vertical shaft directly upward into the solid granite core above the Davison chamber. Room by room, as the smoke cleared, he breached 5 separate compartments, naming them after British military heroes and aristocrats. It was only in the highest, most inaccessible vault, Campbell's Chamber, that Vyse reported finding the crucial cartouche of Khufu. The circumstances surrounding Vyse's breakthrough raised immediate forensic questions that persist to this day. In the chamber directly below Campbell's, identified as Lady Arbuthnot's chamber, another royal cartouche was recorded containing a distinct spelling variant, Khnum Kuf, integrating the name of the ram-headed creator god. Furthermore, epigraphers noted structural inconsistencies within the hieratic script. Numerical notations in certain chambers were rendered facing in directions contrary to standard Old Kingdom scribal conventions, while the orthographic style varied noticeably between adjacent stone slabs. In the decades that followed, critics pointed to Vyse's private journals, noting discrepancies between his initial field logs and the formal facsimiles submitted to the British Museum, sparking long-running debates over whether the inscriptions were authentic or modified during the heat of the 1837 expedition. Modern epigraphic re-examinations, however, revealed a physical reality that complicates any simple theory of modern forgery. High-resolution imaging and physical inspection demonstrated that several of the red-painted strokes continue beyond the visible face of the granite slabs, extending deep into the tight joints between adjoining blocks. Because these multi-ton granite beams were fitted together during the pyramid's original construction phase, it would have been physically impossible for a 19th-century investigator to paint ink into sealed seams between multi-ton stones. This physical evidence proves that at least a portion of the quarry marks were undeniably applied to the stone blocks 4,500 years ago, before they were hoisted into position. Yet, the mystery surrounding the builders expanded dramatically in 2013, far away from the Giza Plateau. At the ancient Red Sea harbor site of Wadi El Jarf, a joint French-Egyptian archaeological team led by Pierre Tallet unearthed a sealed limestone cave containing hundreds of papyrus fragments. Among these texts was the logbook of Mirror, an official daily record kept by an inspector overseeing a crew of roughly 40 workers during the 27th year of Khufu's reign. Mirror's diary provided the first direct, contemporary written account of the logistics behind the Great Pyramid. It detailed the daily transportation of fine white limestone blocks from the quarries at Tura, transported via specialized Nile riverboats directly to a site designated as Akhet Khufu, the horizon of Khufu. The discovery of the Merer papyrus provided empirical proof of human labor, organized transport schedules, and state logistics operating under Khufu's administration. Yet, it simultaneously highlighted a stark historical paradox, while administrative logs detailing food rations, stone shipments, and quarry cycles were carefully preserved and sealed in desert caves 130 miles away. The Great Pyramid itself was left entirely devoid of official historical records. The workers who logged their daily stone deliveries on papyrus left no formal commemorative inscriptions on the walls of the monument they were erecting. This absence of internal record-keeping points back to the enigmatic title used by the quarry crews themselves, the Shemsu or the followers. In ancient Egyptian tradition, the concept of the followers carried profound historical and religious significance. Royal king lists, including the Turin Canon and the Palermo Stone, document a long lineage of rulers governing Egypt long before the unified First Dynasty under Menes. These texts record a semi-divine transitional class of rulers, known as the Shemsu Hor, the followers of Horus, described as ancient keepers of astronomical, architectural, and mathematical knowledge who ruled during a prehistoric era. While conventional history interprets the Shemsu Hor as a symbolic mythologized origin tradition created to give divine legitimacy to early pharaohs, ancient Egyptian scribes treated these predecessors as literal historical entities. The labor crews at Giza who painted the followers of Khufu onto raw granite blocks were adopting an ancient societal title tied directly to state service and royal allegiance. Whether viewed as an administrative crew tag or an echo of an older architectural tradition, the red ink inside the relieving chambers remains the sole internal text preserved within the world's greatest stone monument. Today, the hidden cartouche in Campbell's chamber remains sealed in total darkness, accessible only through the narrow shaft blasted by gunpowder nearly 2 centuries ago. Suspended between disputed 19th-century discoveries, ancient Red Sea administrative logs, and thousands of years of royal tradition, the red ochre marks on the ceiling of Giza stand as a solitary, silent witness to the men who quarry-marked, transported, and stacked the largest stone pyramid on Earth.